All right, guys, I'm back, and don't you just love the noise of the shop? Well, tough. So anyway, here is the gear scope breakdown bow from BattlBox Mission 92. I talked to Steve about to send him a box, BattlBox. He pays for it and everything. But I said, hey, yo, Snap, yo, check it out, yo. What if we did this bow up the way that I did the Mission 53 breakdown bow? What if we just did something custom to it in the shop, like whatever? And he said, yeah, whatever. Do what you got to do. He left it up to me. And I said, okay, dangerous concept, but I'm in. So I've taken a few days, several days, to think of, like, what would I do with this bow in the shop? And, we could Cerakote stuff, we could hydrographic stuff, we could do a little of both. And, hydrographics I think is probably the best way to do this up in a cool way. And we have literally thousands of options when it comes to hydrographics. And I picked one, I wanted something that we don't normally see. And I picked a film that is called what is it called? Hold on, let me get it. Marble Black and Silver. Marble Black and Silver. And you can see there's some transparent area here for color to show through. And we've got a really nice, it's actually called bright blue, but it's a dark blue. It's a dark, it has a tiny metallic tint to it, kind of. And I think that would look awesome on this. The black, the silver, and this dark blue. It's blue, we're blue. I think it'll look really nice. Now this is an older film, so I'm hoping it's going to behave. I'm going to have to test it a little bit. But we've got enough to do the arms, the center part, whatever. I'm not up on my bow terminology, sorry. It's really not that complicated a deal. There's going to be a little bit of, there's the mold lines in the middle. I want to trim that off, get it nice and flush. This is not going to survive where you're putting your arrows on and scraping against it. So we're gonna mask that off, but it's not a big process to do, but it's going to be a cool process to do. So I think it's really going to look good. Now the question is, at the end, do I give it a dead flat finish, which is what you'd most likely see, or do I give it a nice high gloss finish? I don't know yet. We're going to have to see. So the first thing I need to do is I need to de-string it, and these black parts on the end, they'll probably be masked off too, because the abrasion of this string will probably not mess with it, but I don't want to take any chances of it messing up the coatings or anything. So plus, it's, maybe I could Cerakote it, I don't know, but we're gonna have to disassemble. So I'm going to disassemble this, and we'll get to talking about how we're going to prep it up and base coat it and stuff right after this. All right, voiceover time. So what we're going to start with here in this production is trying to reduce those seams, because this was injection molded, and so you can see the seams of the molding here. So I'm just going to start by gently scraping with this blade to reduce them a little bit, and then you'll see that I'm going to move on to some very light grit sandpaper to try to smooth it out a little bit. Then when this is done, I'm going to give it its first of multiple cleanings with wax and grease remover to make sure that, right now, the purpose is to make sure the surface is clean for wrapping some tape to protect some surfaces I don't want coated. I'm going to be using some high temperature tape, not regular masking tape, because it gives a very clean edge and it survives sandblasting much better than masking tape does. And I'll probably say that again, I think, in actual video clips later on, but now you heard it here, so there you go. If you're wondering why I'm masking off the sight window and the arrow shelf here, it's because these areas are likely to be scratched and abraded and rubbed by the arrow during use, whether you shoot right-handed or left-handed. So rather than have it look really kind of worn out and wrecked over the life of the use of the bow, I think it'll be a good look to just leave this kind of factory and black when it's all done, and it'll just kind of give a better, for lack of a better word, a better artistic look when the thing's all finished and through the life of the actual bow. So it's just a choice I made as we're going here. These are silicone plugs. We use them all the time in the shop. I'm just using them to protect the more delicate inner surface of where screws go, but we use them to plug barrels, we use them to plug other screw holes, or anything we don't want the sandblasting to get into and potentially hurt. Okay, so this is right out of the sandblaster. Now these are carbon fibers, so you gotta be really gentle with them, because carbon fiber is a very strong material, has a great tensile strength, but it is carbon fiber. So if you were to hit this with the full, like we do metal parts, we do them at 80 psi. 80 psi would blow this apart. And plastic, you don't want to do at 80 psi because you'll pit it. You'll actually carve divots into it. So I did this all at 40, just to make sure that we were gentle. Now you have to do the sandblasting for the purposes of getting to the substrate, getting to the, giving it a micro rough surface. Like if you felt this, it would be very smooth, but you need to give a micro rough surface for, well, the base coat to stick to, the hydrographics to stick to, and everything. This is wax and grease remover. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure the parts are very clean, so that we've got no dirt, residue, fingerprint, juice, nothing that would impede our, and I put these plugs in to protect the holes that our screws are going to go through. So we're just going to make sure the pieces are nice and clean before we get to the coating. And after the sandblaster, they get hit with, oh, I forgot these plastic parts come off, but it's okay, we'll leave them on. After the sandblaster, they get hit with compressed air to clean off any of the sandblasting media, which I think using aluminum oxide today is what's in there. We've also used garnet. I'm not sure what it's honestly loaded with right now. To me, for these purposes, it doesn't matter. But make sure that's all nice and clean, and then we'll wipe down. Ooh. Gloves get slippery. Again, the gloves protect all these pieces from any kind of skin oils or any gunk I might have on my hands from working on stuff previously in the shop. The high temperature tape, not only it's good to go in the oven, but it resists, the plastic tape resists the sandblasting much better than masking tape ever could. Let this kind of sit and gas off a little bit, evaporate its way out of the pores that we made, and then we'll be ready to coat. This is the blue. It's probably very hard to see here, but you will see it as it is sprayed on. So really, it's a really nice kind of royal blue with a little bit of metallic in it. I think it's really going to look good through the pattern. I just got it off the shaker. I'm ready to load it in a spray gun and get these things mounted up. So I'll see you in the spray booth in a minute. I'm showing this to you again at 4x speed, so you don't have to sit through the whole thing. But what you're seeing is as we spray this on, we do a couple real light base coats to get good adhesion to the material, and then we follow it up with a thicker, what we call a wet coat, where we really make sure we get good coverage. Now this is going to dry flat, not glossy, even though you see it glossy here. But following this process is how we ensure that we get, number one, total coverage over the whole part, and number two, a nice flat, even coat for the graphics to stick to. So it's still noisy back here, sorry. The base coat, this has had a little over the required curing time. We like to let it sit for at least 15 minutes. It's been a little over that. So I can kind of show you what this is going to look like, although it's going to be hard to see anyway, but it's going to have a nice look to it, I think. Now we've got a couple different ways that we could skin this cat. So we could dip these pieces with what we call a roll, where we put it in and roll it through, or we could do 50-50, where we mask off half, dip it, take the masking tape off, let it dry, don't rinse it, but let it dry, and then dip the other half. And, you know, it's a little quicker to do the rolling, but you risk certain things. You risk air voids and all that stuff. I feel like we could probably, if we're careful, we could do the roll. This to me looks like it would probably be a better 50-50, just because there's all these different pockets where we could get voids and stuff. I think this would be a better, you know, 1 and then 2, and we use this natural line to demarcate with tape. But the arms here, I think these would be great for rolling. We go in and we just roll. I could see doing this as a 50-50 also, though, because we could mask off one side and just let the film wrap around the sides. Maybe we'll do 50-50 on this also. So anyway, we're about ready. I got to uncover the tank. The tank is warmed up. And then, you know, this is, like I said, old film. I hope it doesn't get cracked up. But I think even if you get a little crack in the finish, a little crack on it, it'll look like a cool texture. So I think it's going to be good. So let me get set up, and I will record the whole dipping process. Dipping again, done at, I think this is 3x speed, not 4, just to speed it up. But I went with the 50-50 method for all these pieces, so you'll see we have one side taped up. And I'm going much slower than you can see to make sure we don't have any air pockets, air bubbles, or anything, and we get perfect coverage over the coated side. The stuff you see me spraying, that's the activator that dissolves that plastic film carrying the ink, and that way the ink is just floating on the surface, and I can lower the pieces directly through it, and then the ink adheres to the base coat that I sprayed onto the pieces. It's a really cool process. I love doing hydrographics. It's a lot of fun. The pieces look kind of wet and jelly and slimy right now because there's still a little residual of that PVA, that polyvinyl alcohol, that needs to be rinsed off. So this is dipping the reverse of that first piece. I took the tape off, I let the backside dry off, and now we just dip it right through. That excess PVA that I said needs to be rinsed, it's not rinsed yet, because that excess PVA protects the first side from having any graphics adhere to it. So that lets us get just a clean dip where we need it on this pass. It's been a weekend since I did the initial dip on these, and they look pretty good. There's some watermarks here just from drying. I'll wipe that off real quick. But these have dipped beautifully. I'm really happy with the results. So I've been thinking about it, and while I think a lot of people might like a dead flat finish on this, I'm gonna go gloss, and here's why. I think it'll just really make it pop, and I think personally, this is just me and I could be totally wrong, I think that the clear is just a tiny bit thicker as a coat, and I feel like it gives just a tiny bit more protection. And that's probably just me imagining things. It's probably not true at all. I think the dead flat probably gives just a perfect amount of protection too. But I think that this would just look great with a glossy clear coat on it. If it was a camouflage pattern, if we were trying to blend it in, I'd probably go with the flat. But though, as it is, this is not gonna blend in with any environment. It's gonna be unique, original. It's gonna look awesome. But let's go with the gloss just to really set it off and make it look great. So I'm gonna go mix up the gloss. The gloss is a 2K. It's an automotive grade. I say that all the time on the channel. It's a part A, part B. So I'm gonna just give these another rinse to get these kind of watermarks from where they dried, to make sure that we're nice and clean and everything for the clear coat. I'm gonna take these plastic parts off so that the clear coat wraps completely around the part. I'm gonna take this tape off again so the clear coat wraps completely around the part, and then we'll get going in the spray booth. I'm not sure if this is going to come out real clear, but with the body piece, I took off the main tape wrap on the handle, and I left just a little bit here, if you can see. So basically I rewrapped, but I left a little bit of the black so that clear coat wraps around the hydrographics. I got a wet spot there. And then wraps onto the handle. And I did that on both sides. And so that way the clear coat doesn't just kind of end at the graphics. It wraps fully around, but it's going to leave this with the plain original finish. This has been re-rinsed. You see those watermarks are gone and dried. And now I'm getting ready to mix up the clear coat, like I said, and we got rid of the plastic ends. We'll take it into the enclosed spray booth where we do all the clear stuff. It's got the fan that takes all the dust out of the air and everything, so that we have a nice, smooth, clean finish. In case you were wondering, I don't think I ever showed this before. So this is clear coat. So this is the clear coat. This is the activator. 4 parts to 1 part, which is funny because this is such a small pan. It's small because we don't use it as much as we use the dead flat, which we have in a much bigger can and smaller cans of the. It's a 3-part system for the dead flat, and then this is the soft touch. But so anyway, this is actually the stuff, and that I'll mix up, and spray through the gun. And so what'll happen is, because this is a project video, we'll take one of these little liners for the PPS cup. We'll take one of these filters. This. We'll get this gun. And well, this is hard to do with one hand because I don't have my video camera today. I'm doing it all on my phone. I can do this. So then this liner goes in here, and then after I mix that up, that'll go in there, that goes on there, that goes on the gun, and this is actually what we spray with. This is the same stuff they use in, when they work on large projects, cars, whatever. Same kind of stuff. We're just using it at a smaller scale for our projects. We're at 4 times speed again here, but this is the clear coat. It goes on a little bit heavier than the base coat, but same concept, same principles as we make sure we get good coverage all around. All right, so we are glossy, we are pretty, we are cured. So we are going to re-unmask this right here. And I kind of still do have a plan for the handle. I don't know if I'm going to do that because it just looks so pretty. But, the reason I left this is because I know this is going to get scuffed up and roughed up by arrows constantly scraping against it. So is this a little bit, but I wanted to get that pattern and the top coat to come up and over and kind of cover it all. So I think that the gloss coat was the right choice with this pattern still, even though some people might disagree with me. So we've got our main body piece and we've got our arms, and they're looking super nice and ready to go back on. Now I did this in a way, I mean, I know it doesn't matter which is which, which side is which, or which arm goes where, but I dipped it in a way that I'd be able to figure it out. So this is the front, and this is the front. And I know that because, trust me, I know that. So it is time to get this bow reassembled. There we go. And the fit is going to be a little tighter now because of the coating, but that's fine. It's still going to fit fine. And because of the gloss coat, we're going to get fingerprints. Who knew? You guys know how I feel about that. But we will deal. How exciting is this? Watching me screw this in. Complete project. You guys get to see the whole thing. So we'll do one, not too tight, because remember this is a breakdown bow, so we want to be able to take it apart again. And then this side. And these are the little kinds of projects, these customizations that, I mean, really, we didn't do that much to it. We changed how it looks, but these are the kinds of things that really make people love what they have, because now it's unique. There's not another one that looks like this. And when we Cerakote a rifle, or we dip, you know, a stock, or whatever. Sometimes we dip the whole rifle. This is the little kinds of things that make people really love what they have, because now no one else has one like it. They're the only one. So unfortunately, that seam did not disappear as well as I wanted it to. Should have spent more time on it. A little bit better on the back, but let me get the end caps that hold the strings on, and they are going to be a tighter fit because of the coating, but they fit nicely. We'll get this one on. And now we're ready to restring this thing. And I can't do that on camera specifically because I have to be able to, I can do one side. I can show you one side restring, but then I gotta kind of put my leg through it a little bit. So we got the one. That was the lighting fixture there. Hang on, give me a second, and we are back to bow, and it's all done. And it took a few days, and really most of the time that it took in those few days was curing time for various parts of it. But the work time was, compared to the time letting it cure and things dry, was pretty short. So I suppose I should get a full size, you know, I'll get you some pictures of it at the end of this video so you can see, like, you know, just whole thing. But fun project. And now Steve has a one-of-a-kind gear scope Mission 92 Mission 93 breakdown bow, and I had a lot of fun doing it because I love hydrographics. They're fun to do. So what do you guys think? I'm expecting you guys might not like the pattern as much as I do, but wait till you see the whole thing, you know, in the full-size pictures at the end of the video. But let me know what you think, and what else you guys would like to see me dip or customize or mess with in the shop, because you know, we have so many options. So anyway, thanks again to Steve, and I will get this out. I'm gonna have to take it back apart, I can't send it like this. I don't have a box. Or do I? I don't know. But we'll see. And thanks to all of you guys for watching and whatever cool ideas you give me. And remember that you are all absolutely awesome, and I appreciate every single one of you. There'll be pictures at the end. And I'll be back again real soon.